moment of truth has arrived, as Snow White has been billed as the world's first floating gas refinery. Thousands of workers have spent more than 3 years of their lives building Snow White. It's time to say goodbye. There is satisfaction, sadness, and a certain amount of tension. The giant refinery slowly edges away from the dock. The barges appear to be having difficulty steering. Snow White is not a boat. She has no engine or rudder. She is a 35,000-ton floating brig. But she seems to be sitting evenly in the water, much to everyone's relief. For the first leg of its voyage, the rig will travel just a few hundred meters to a temporary berth to allow a diving team to inspect the hull.
Los dos cabos primeros que largamos son que vamos a tirar a tierra son el 5 y el 10. Tiramos la primera gaza que enganchamos en volardo en tierra, y luego la segunda gaza vuelve a
But there seems to be a great deal of confusion as to how Snow White should be moored into position.
Estacha 5 y 10, el número que nos dais no lo tengo yo aquí puesto.
Este es el 1, 2,
Nosotros estamos en el 3, en el 3 tenemos
este es el 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 y 11. Entonces las primeras estachas van al 9, 9, 10, 11, al 9.
La número 5 va al 9, ¿no?
Sí. La número 5 va al 9.
Paco, la estacha número 5 va al volardo 9. ¿Me has recibido?
Si hay algún problema en esto es que nos lo comuniques, sabes que van 3.
Vale, a ver, Paco Manega.
Esta es la posición de la barcaza, ya una vez que está
This is the position of the barge.
serán las 6 defensas.
Once it's moored, these are the 6 defences, which will protect the barge. And these are the ropes that will tie it up and secure it against the dock to prevent any movement of the barge.
No, que vamos a atracar ya en el muelle de la cabecera sur, que se llama. Y si
We're going to dock over there. There are some cylindrical buffers where the barge will be moored. There's 6 of them to support it.
Son 6 y en esas 6 la barcaza
In 20 or 30 minutes, the barge will come alongside the dock. The impact has to be gentle so that the barge isn't damaged.
The challenge now is to stop the refinery smashing into the dock. Chief pilot Carlos Valle is in charge at the stern of the vessel, the section that will be moored first. He has to ensure each mooring rope is secured correctly whilst coordinating the 5 tugs to stop the rig from hitting the key buffers too hard.
Sargazos por largo hacia la rampa rojo, con fuerza.
The first attempt at docking has to be aborted. The barge veers off course, and Carlos Valle orders the docking operation to start again. Once again, time is against them. Slack tide is over, and as the water recedes, the currents in the harbour are getting stronger by the minute. The rig must berth quickly.
Bueno, todos los remolcadores parados, todos. Cargazo parado. No, hombre, no, por favor.
Dale fuerza, fíjate.
Pero ya estamos apoyados con todos, Paco. The riggers were not fast enough, you know. They were not aware about what I want to do. And they got a little bit confused. And during this moment, we lose the control of the bow.
Despite the problems, Snow White has survived her first short voyage.
In the
end, it was all fine. We've nearly finished. We just need to attach a few mooring ropes to secure the barge, and then we're done. We're very happy.
Muy contentos.
As Snow White is now finally floating, it's possible to inspect beneath her hull for the first time. There's only a 3-meter clearance beneath the hull at this dock, barely room for a team of divers to do their job. And it's one of the most hazardous engineering jobs in the world.
No está cómodo ahí, ¿no?
Relativamente, hay mucha corriente.
Mucha corriente. Corriente dirección sur, ¿no?
Domingo Paz Moreno is the team leader. He's been diving for more than 20 years in every part of the world. Working underwater beneath the rig is dangerous. Visibility in the narrow gap under the hull is just 45 centimeters.
El primero que tú vas a ver entonces es el longitudinal, ¿no?
Es transversal, de manga.
De manga a manga, transversal.
Este es el primer ano.
The team's main task is to check 480 large metal bars, which are welded to the bottom of the rig. These 2-meter-long bars are called anodes and protect all steel vessels from corroding in water. Electrical current is passed through each anode. The charged metal now attracts oxidization from the vessel, which means the anode rusts, but not the hull itself. The anodes are designed to have a lifespan of 50 years, but the engineers fear that some may have damaged during the plant's construction.
If there are any loose anodes, we have to cut them off, or they will damage the deck of the Blue Marlin or our barge.
The undamaged anodes are marked with a cable tie to avoid confusion when the damaged ones come to be removed.
So far, we've found 3 loose ones, and after confirming with Statoil, we will mark them and then continue checking.
Such engineering tasks are straightforward enough, but when diving beneath a giant hull, the smallest problem can be life-threatening, as one of these divers is about to find out. How do you load the biggest floating gas rig ever onto a ship bound for the Arctic Circle? Simple. It takes a whole host of marine engineers, tug pilots, harbour masters, and one very nervous captain. This is one of the most advanced and one of the most expensive gas refineries in the world. Built in Spain, but destined for Norway. The problem now is loading the refinery in the short window of slack tide when the currents are at their weakest. But before that happens, a team of divers must check its hull. Jan Erling Nakestad, the diving coordinator for Statoil, arrives at the rig. He's come to check on progress, but he's especially concerned about the safety of the divers.
How are you, my friend? Hey, everything's okay.
The greatest worry with this kind of diving is air supply. Snow White is immense, and once underneath, divers working in pitch black against strong currents can easily become disorientated. If there's any problem with the breathing equipment, it's almost impossible to get out in time.
A ver, cóbrame un poco de umbilical, por favor.
Cobrando un poco de umbilical.
The umbilical links the divers to the world above. It's the lifeline which pumps down oxygen and nitrogen to the divers. It also carries video up to the team leader Domingo Paz Moreno as he guides them through the tasks.
Un momentito.
Yeah, check one of those ones, but only one. He can select it himself.
Álvaro. Espera, mira, límpiame la conexión de la patilla soldada. Ahí, donde tienes el dedo.
Sí, está perfecto, pintado, no hay grietas, no hay corrosión y la soldadura se ve bien, vamos, que no presenta ninguna anomalía.
Suddenly, one of the divers seems to be in difficulty. His oxygen feed appears to be failing. Jan Nakestad wrestles with the umbilical control box to adjust the air pressure. It's hard to tell precisely what's wrong with the mix. They have to alter the flow and wait to hear from the diver.
Tony? Tony, tú estás bien, ¿no? Tony?
Yo sí.
Dale, es okay.
Vamos tirando de ti, ¿eh?
Out in the harbour, the Blue Marlin is preparing to take on its load tomorrow morning. Members of the crew are checking the heavy wooden runners which have been attached to the deck. These are meant to support the rig and protect the anodes on the base of its hull. Tonight, Captain Posnax must sink the Marlin, an operation that takes 8 hours.
С проверяющим, я думаю, что они там творят. Хорошо, ясно.
On board the Snow White, marine engineer Rocio Perez is preparing the rig for the rendezvous with the Blue Marlin. She has until dawn to balance the water levels in the ballast tanks. That's if she can locate any tools.
El almacén nuestro que está ahí en el contenedor es un rollo de macarrón, pero es un macarrón finito. Es de 15 toneladas, es menos de media pulgada. Y lo demás no es transparente. Yo les quería que sea transparente para luego poderlo leer.
It's vital the rig's true center of gravity is recalculated. If it's not balanced when loaded onto the Blue Marlin, the rig could capsize in heavy storms. Divers have located 8 damaged anodes beneath the hull. Now they've got to be removed.
¿Ves si tiene luz?
No, no tengo luz.
Pues entonces hay problemita. ¿No tiene luz?
Sí, ya tengo. Dame un poco más de intensidad.
Un poquito más de intensidad.
Ahí está bien.
First, ropes must be attached to the faulty anodes, which are then cut off using powerful oxy-arc torches. But the current is getting stronger all the time, and it's dragging the divers from the mooring point. The men are finally ready to start cutting off the anodes.
Si cuando tú me digas, yo tengo todo, está todo arrancado, ¿eh? Te doy corriente.
Vale, dame corriente.
¿Corriente? ¿Está cortando? Más intensidad.
Cutting through thick steel is a tough job in itself, but it's made all the harder when attempted in a narrow underwater gap in pitch black, and the clock is still ticking.
¿Cayó? Ok, perfecto. Todo cortado.
Everyone makes their final rounds, checking and rechecking. There can be no failures this time.
Claro, aquí, eso es, aquí no debería haber agua, a lo mejor.
No, y
pero
nos
aquí,
hemos metido por todos los hombres, y nada, exacto.
digo, pues fenomenal, mucho mejor. Pero es muy raro, pero bueno, ya mientras sea que no haya agua, está bien. Al otro día podemos hacer la prueba. Pues en la prueba de desplazamiento que ya están todos los tanques limpios.
Sí, de aquí
y
para
ya
allá
medimos todo.
los he comprobado yo físicamente todo. Y de allí para allá los han comprobado 2 veces. Y no aumenta. Como ya que sacamos va viniendo más.
Sí, lo que te decías, que igual cuando paras un tiempo o lo que sea se va.
Un poquito.
Y además es que las broderas que hay son muy pequeñas. Entonces,
52, por ejemplo, ayer no había y hoy había 6 centímetros. Le hemos vuelto a dejar.
Es que es eso. ¿Vale? Es que yo creo que eso va a pasar porque es como un lastre residual que se va a...